thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck and Rico Lamitte, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Yeah, you guys, good morning. Today, you guys, are you ready? Because it is Thursday. Today is August 29th, and today is National Lemon Juice Day.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that's supposed to mean lemonade stands or whatnot, but whatever. You know what I mean?
Lemon juice is good.
Mm-hmm. It's also according to Hoyle Day. So, and that's in regards to the deck of cards, you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And, Rico, you'll love this because it's National Chop Suey Day.
I love me some chop suey.
I bet you do. Oh, yes. Thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above or down below on your screen to see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and on our very own website at www.highat9news.com. But kicking it off first, that's right, we have the dope dad himself, Mr. Rico Lamitte, the man who is constantly on the phone, booking sales, collecting dollars and revenues, because he is the dope dad himself. He has a lot of diapers to buy. That's right. It is the dope dad himself, Mr. Rico Lamitte.
Thank you, Jason. My daughter is 4 years now, a few months back.
They're always young, bro.
She doesn't really need diapers anymore.
They're always young.
Yeah.
You know.
It's more stuff that I like to see her in, like Jordans and shit like that.
Oh, okay. All right, whatever. You know,
that I know.
Jordans are expensive too.
Oh, I know, and I know that she's gonna outgrow them in like 2 months. But
yeah,
gotta flex. It's all about matching.
I bet.
And speaking of flexing, Governor Kathy Hochul's infamously premature photo op marking the official launch of the Empire State's adult use era, projecting 20 new store openings a month, only to have 29 open by the end of the year. After that went down, you would have thought they would have learned. Or watching California's repeated missteps over the years, maybe try a different route. But here we are, and it is what it is. Another day, another politician posting videos on the internet for clout. And according to AMNY's Ethan Stark Miller, New York City officials took a field trip to Long Island yesterday to torch 4 tons or 576 bags of illegal cannabis products seized from unlicensed sellers over the past few months. On the scene, Mayor Eric Adams and Sheriff Anthony Miranda announced that the city has shut down over 1,000 of the roughly 4,000 illicit weed shops in the 5 boroughs since Operation Padlock to Protect launched in early May, giving local law enforcement the authority to padlock unlicensed cannabis sellers for up to a year. Stark Miller reported that the mountain of illegal weed was burned as part of the NYPD's usual process of disposing of illicit substances at the Reworld facility in Nassau County, which purports to turn the burn waste into renewable energy. Mayor Adams said that his teams are destroying the cannabis products rather than putting them up in a landfill in order to prevent them from re-entering the market. And before getting down to business, He had a few words to deliver for the gram to a small gathering of reporters and enforcement agents on site after awkwardly sniffing a turkey bag full of seized flower. We're going to destroy illegal cannabis in the city, and it's not going to go in our neighborhoods. It's not going to target our children. The goal is we don't want it recycled back into the communities. You place it in a landfill, you really just open the door of people going back into the landfills and trying to salvage whatever they can.
Trying to take away from the homeless people, bro. It's messed up.
The goal is the destruction of the product and not allowing people to just dump it wherever they can. However, according to Reworld manager Bobby Green, incinerating cannabis products does not impact the facility's surrounding communities. And Green said that the facility uses filtration systems that allow it to scrub most of the fumes and expel 99% of water vapor into air. It's a new form of landfills that they have been using. All of the smells and fumes are contained within the process. They are destroyed in the process so that it does not affect the community that we surround, he told AMNY. Smiling like he knew this shit was finna go viral, Mayor Adams then said that while the city has shuttered 1,000 shops under its latest enforcement action, it also inspected over 4,000 locations, claiming that the products seized equate to $63 million. Stark Miller concluded the article by pointing out that when asked about the roughly 3,000 shops that have not yet been closed, Sheriff Miranda said many of them have been inspected and will be re-inspected, notably saying if or when they would be padlocked. He never said that. And so I guess they're just protecting, they're not padlocking shit. Over 1,000 locations have been sealed, Miranda said, and we will be required to go back to some of these locations for re-inspection. They're just gonna go back. They don't find weed this time, we're gonna get you next time, you assholes. Some of these some of them received cease and desist orders, which require a second visit. So there are ongoing investigations, and we will be revisiting some of them a couple of times. There you have it, folks. Politicians and law enforcement making the world safer, one social media clip at a time. I'm sure the amount of money spent on this clout chasing bullshit could have been used to fund a few OCM salaries and get a few more of those retail licenses promised back in 2023. Opened up early before they said 2025, but I guess it is what it is, and we are where we are. I'm Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street for High at 9 News. Let's talk about this. Y'all, what y'all think?
Hold on. So first of all, the sheriff's, his last name is Miranda.
Yeah, and
that's classic. No right. That's classic. And this just
the Miranda.
That just proves this is just more case in point that New York is the largest dumpster fire in cannabis.
Hey,
just saying.
Where is it?
Mm-hmm. Okay. I mean, anyhow, this sounds expensive. It doesn't sound super helpful. They just went and looked and inspected, didn't find anything. They're going back. They're going to keep going back, whatever. I saw an interesting article that I hopefully will bring up tomorrow about where the cannabis is coming from in the illicit market. So if it's not too sticky, we might check that one out.
Grows.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. That is usually where
priorities in order, though, right, y'all?
Right. Right. So I don't know. Yeah, this seems like they're chasing their tail and they're going to keep doing it. So it seems like their office is doing something.
Crap always wins. I don't know why these people have so much trouble understanding that, especially in New York, where cops are interested in going after certain things and not others. And it's no different than Los Angeles is a pretty corrupt goddamn place for cannabis right now, too. They're just not understanding. People want this. And if you don't provide it to them in a legit way, they're going to get it some other way. And you just can't stop it by these little pissant maneuvers they're engaging in right now. It's stupid.
Rachelle, do you remember the movie Homegrown with John Bon Jovi and Billy Bob Thornton?
No, but I guess that I should.
Oh,
Tell me all about it.
You have to watch it. It is a classic movie. it is something I recommend anyone that consumes cannabis that they definitely watch, because it's a classic amazing tale. But and now I'm going to end up spoiling a little bit of it for you. But at the end, they have a big bonfire, and the whole town all comes out for this whole big old bonfire of all this cannabis that was just seized, and everybody is just standing around the fire, imagining that they're getting a contact high, because contact highs don't exist.
Sounds like a movie.
Oh, it was so good. So good.
I just hope the cop that stuck his nose in the bag to sniff it got whatever nasal infection he deserved for confiscating that probably 2-year-old New York weed.
Well, the question is, was it a spray pack?
I couldn't post the clip quick enough this morning because I was busy. But if you can go on Twitter, you can find the clip of Mayor Adams doing that.
Can you really?
Sniffing spray packs.
I mean, it's probably PM. He's probably going to have like a pretty gnarly sinus infection, but that's not my business.
Hey, when I got popped, I was cooking some weed in my kitchen, and I smelled like weed. And so the DEA agent took me in, testified in trial that I smelled so much like weed that it made him high.
Oh, wow.
You start liking the blues music or something?
You're telling me that a cop testified that he got high from the smell of weed?
Testified in trial. And it was just laughable.
This
in court.
This is definitely well. No, you know what? Maybe he thinks that he's getting high. You know what I mean? But the reality is it's not happening.
Effect,
yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
Just so full of shit. I didn't think they'd actually say it in trial, but the guy was on the witness stand, and Tony Serra just started cracking up and asking him all sorts of stupid ass questions about that. I still went to prison, but it was some things along the way, just, you know.
Yeah, shout out to Tony Serra and his law firm, man. Tony Serra's a good guy.
He's my hero.
Yeah.
He is my hero.
Yeah, he was a rock star. Yeah, Pure 5 Law Group. Shout out to them. Any other final thoughts, you guys, on this dumpster fire, New York?
Literally.
I mean,
the fire smells like weed, right? Yeah.
I don't think it actually smells like weed. I think it smells like different like candy cakes and different shit that.
So that's what he said. The guy who owns the facility, he said that the way their incineration process works is it turns the waste that's burned up into 99% water vapor, so you can't smell or anything. It doesn't affect anybody around them.
Into water vapor, huh?
Yeah. So he says.
I'm not sure if I'm buying all that, but I do find it funny. I mean, I think they should have just called this their Green New Deal, because how they said that they're trying to turn it into renewable energy.
Maybe that's the water vapor. It's steam powered. There's steam power in New York.
Yeah.
It sounds expensive. That's what I'm saying. It sounds very expensive.
Lots of motorboating going on in New York today, you guys.
Wow.
Apparently, if you throw it in the old school landfills, all the migrants and all of the homeless folks are going to run over there and smoke up all the product. That's what Eric Adams is claiming will happen.
Yeah.
They're just trying to find the cans so they can get the 5 cents back. Leave them alone.
I mean, in all fairness, there is a lot of aluminum in all those vape carts that all the homeless people could recycle, and aluminum's a high priced commodity at the recycling center.
Hey.
Good talk, Jason. That's a good
talk about economic stimulus.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right. Well, we're going to keep it rolling. We're going to roll right into a commercial, and we're going to be right back.
Oh man, that was weird. Hey, you America. Do I look like Sean Connery? Good morning, America. Saman Razani coming to you live from sunny Los Angeles, California, with the one and only highest host, Mr. Jason Beck, smoking on the best weed in the world. Did you know that we have an audio-only version of our podcast? You can find it on Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. No excuses in 2024. If you haven't checked us out, check it out now. And also, check out what the Prophet's doing in 2024.
Up next, it's the man known for smoking the best weed in the world. He is the highest Republican in every room that he walks into and walks out of. He's an undying love and support for former presidents or on the downslide.
And future.
He will never, ever, ever drop them off no matter what they say or do because he's that loyal kind of guy. Come to the stage, Jason Beck.
Oh, yeah. Good morning, you guys. Happy Thursday, man. We're almost to Friday, you guys. Almost. Just one more day away. But, man, oh, man, you guys. I just feel so bad for all these investor chads and whatnot. Because December marijuana rescheduling hearing prompts anger and a big old stock sell-off, you guys. That's right. For the second year running, the $32.1 billion U.S. cannabis industry will lead into the Labor Day weekend. Adam, we need to hit play on this. Will lead into the Labor Day holiday weekend on the heels of major milestones in the Biden administration's efforts to, that's right, reschedule cannabis, you guys. Instead of celebration, however, anger and a minor sell-off of cannabis stocks followed Monday's announcements that an administrative law judge won't hear the Justice Department's proposal to recategorize marijuana to Schedule 3 of the Controlled Substances Act until December, you guys. A year ago, the industry headed into the Labor Day holiday weekend, celebrating, in quotes, you guys, the biggest thing ever to happen with cannabis reform when federal health regulators recommended the marijuana be reclassified as medicine. But this year, U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration Chief Annie Milligram's notice in the Federal Register of a planned December 2nd hearing means it's all but certain marijuana won't be rescheduled until 2025. Hopefully it doesn't get rescheduled at all, but whatever. But there is marijuana tax relief, and that's on hold too, because as a result, plant-touching cannabis companies will have to wait a few more months for federal tax relief. That potentially upends several major multi-state operators' plans to claim business expenses the IRS says are still due under Section 280E of the Internal Revenue Code. In a quote, "It is incredibly disappointing to see the DEA drag their feet on an issue which has been a clear White House priority." U.S. Representative Earl Blumenauer, an Oregon Democrat and the co-chair of the Congressional Cannabis Caucus, said in a Tuesday statement. But other observers were more circumspect. That's right, because in a quote, "This is not a surprise," said Sean Hauser, a partner at Denver-based law firm Vicente and Cedarburg. He's the chair of the practice and cannabinoid and hemp division, and in a quote says, "There was a very significant chance of an administrative law judge hearing," she said. Yet Blumenauer's frustration echoed similar statements among major marijuana industry players on Monday and Tuesday. And in a quote, the DEA hates weed. Ben Culver, the CEO of Chicago-based multi-state operator Green Thumb Industries, posted to social media on Monday night. Cannabis stocks took a big hit because cannabis investors reacted accordingly, you guys, and shares in Green Thumb dipped to more than 8.5% on the news of the December 2nd hearing from $10.69, and at the close of markets on Monday, about $9.76 on Tuesday afternoon. Similar drops hit fellow marijuana MSOs, Curaleaf Holdings down 12% to $2.80, and Trulieve Cannabis Corp down 5% to $9.09. Verano Holdings Corp down 13.5% to $3.33. Meanwhile, outspoken cannabis advocates and some business leaders look to social media to vent frustrations at President Joe Biden and at Annie Milligram and each other, as hopes of pre-election rescheduling have vanished. Speculation swirled that Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump could unwind the rescheduling process as a rebuke to Biden, and those reports competed with rumors that with the Democrats' hopes of retaining the White House, improving Vice President Kamala Harris as the nominee, the party is less in need of a drastic act to win back disaffected progressives and young voters. But for now, such theories have no factual basis. In a quote, you can research, I think that's supposed to be research. You can research this any way you want, said the D.C. lobbyist, who requested anonymity to speak freely. But there isn't a sign that anybody I know has seen that there was some political maneuvering going
going on, he says. We know what the next step is. That's right. Instead, lawyers, lobbyists, and some cannabis executives told MJ Biz Daily on Tuesday that the scheduled hearing shouldn't have come as a shock. Try to tell you guys this. If anything, it means the rescheduling process Biden launched in an October 2022 executive order is still on track. In a quote, "We hoped it would be speedier. We were hoping for before the November presidential election, but at least we have a date now, and we know what the next step is," said Brian Barash, Vice President of External Affairs at Oregon-based cannabis sales software platform Dutchie. In an additional quote, "But you know, I think throughout most of this process, we've been pleasantly surprised at the speed, and it's beaten expectations." That's a way to put mud on a pig, but whatever. Publication on a final rule follows the hearing by an administrative law judge, though the Administrative Procedure Act does not give a specific time frame. Bearing a lengthy delay in court, some observers noted that legal challenges are likely in the December 2nd hearing means a final rule is still possible before Biden leaves office on Inauguration Day of January 25th. That is what Blumenauer, the longtime congressional champion, is banking on, he says. In a quote, "While I would have preferred to see rescheduling finalized before the election, we still have every reason to believe that it will happen before President Biden leaves office," Blumenauer said. In an additional quote, "I also have every hope that because of our work together, soon-to-be President Kamala Harris will take further steps to rationalize cannabis policy and end the failed war on drugs." But there's a lot of interested parties in this, you guys. That is right, because what's still unclear is who will participate in the hearing. That's right. Who's going to have a seat at the table? As the marijuana industry marshals administrative law experts to argue on its behalf, most observers agree they'll likely square off against familiar foes such as, that's right, Project Sam, smart approaches to marijuana. An observer stressed on Tuesday that while marijuana operators might be justifiably frustrated that the cannabis plant is still federally prohibited, the rescheduling process is proceeding as the law requires, they say, and much more quickly than some other tweaks to federal law, they say. In an additional quote, "It's usually a 9-year process," Hauser said. Biden said it would move expeditiously, and it has. But rather than be upset over the wait, Hauser added the cannabis industry should be looking forward to arguing its case before the DEA that agrees on at least one point. The current status quo should change. In an additional quote, "People should be focused on preparing to support a historic hearing," she said. "There are volumes of science and medicine that support the medicinal use and remarkably low abuse of potential cannabis," you guys. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man. I will tell you guys what. This is just more of the same. High hopes. And of course, you know, this is not financial advice, but you know what I say about all these cannabis stocks. I just say short them all. And this is Jason Beck for the High at 9 News. What do y'all have to say about this?
You're all going to get to see what we've been watching since the 1970s. DEA could fuck up a wet dream. Those guys are horrible. They're going to drag their feet as much as they can. We've got a piss and match between the medical side of the government and the DEA side. Health and Human Services wants to use a multi-part test to find that there's current medical use. The DEA doesn't want to do that. And so there's just the first of many headbutting sessions we're going to watch. And I'm telling you, I've watched these guys creep around like snails for decades. And they don't like weed. They're not going to do anything that they have to do here unless you really stick a boot up their ass, which is the fights we've had for decades. And I just see this as a clown show. And ultimately, it's got to get into a real courtroom where the Chevron deference doctrine that's been taken away, we can fight the DEA without having to defer to their experts, because their experts come from, you know, they're sympathetic to Sam and Kevin Sabet. This is just going to be a continuing shit show. And we all know that sticking it in Schedule 3 is not going to help anybody in the industry right now.
That's for
You're
sure.
You're never going to agree to approve smokable any kind of medicine. It's never going to happen. So that's just one of the many problems we're looking at. This is just an ongoing clown show. And I mean, it's just disgusting to watch, but hey, it's what we've got in the administrative law field for drugs.
Heat up your popcorn, Dale.
Yeah.
What do you guys say, Jenny Beth, Rachelle? Any thoughts?
Yeah, the investors know what they're doing.
Do they? They know what
The
they're
investors don't know what they're doing, and that's why we're watching like.
It's the risk that they take. That's the
No,
risk
they don't know what the fuck they're doing because they're getting sold about an industry they know nothing about.
They don't know what the fuck is going on, and they're chasing.
Right.
They're chasing this bullshit, and if they really wanted to win in the stock market, just track Nancy Pelosi's trades. There's a couple of funds now doing that, and if you don't see any of these politicians actually making big moves on that, chances are it ain't happening.
Which is fair, Rico. But I mean, yeah, these investors don't know what they're doing. The second the word reschedule came out, they didn't get the full word out of their mouth, and everybody had it in their fucking fundraising deck. They're everything. Don't invest in cannabis right now. I'm sorry, that sucks. Not financial advice, but if it was me and my money and my whole life is tied up in this, I definitely go put it in cannabis stock. So we'll see.
Either buy and hold or day trade if you have time to watch that shit all day. But if you just like buying off a hype in the news and stuff that's going on, like, don't. Just don't.
Do not.
Do you have any cannabis stocks, Rachelle?
I do not.
Good job.
And I'm okay with that.
Smart.
You guys didn't buy Canopy the Growth? Come on, the penny stock.
Oh, boy.
Hey, it's at a bargain right now.
I just think it's comical.
Yeah.
I think it's comical that somebody running one of these companies actually thought they were going to get 280 relief.
Exactly.
For the end of the year.
Well,
I mean, where are these guys smoking? Can put the crack down,
Well, the part that I can't believe is I can't believe that they think that that's a fair trade-off to move it to Schedule 3 to only get 280E relief. I don't think that's a fair trade-off at all.
Well, it's not, but operators are by and large ignorant about all these issues because, like, I've had people look me in the face and say, "Oh, we're not going to pay the 280E taxes because they're going to repeal it." You might want to start paying your fucking taxes.
They're not.
This is going to end poorly for you, friend.
Yeah, they're not going to repeal 280E. They're not going to repeal 280E.
I can't be like, I'm not going to pay my power bill because I think they're going to fix it next month. Like, no, this is retarded. I'll be sitting here in the dark. So I don't know. Yeah, we'll see.
The only cannabis stock that I still have is because I helped take a company public back in 2018.
I don't really consider that a cannabis stock, though, Rico.
It is. It's Tilt Holdings, man. It's very much a cannabis stock. And
I thought you were going to say something else.
I can't sell that bitch, man. They lied on their SEC filings, and we ended up IPOing at $3.22 when we were supposed to at $5. My strike price is $5.25. And let's see what's trading at today, man. Just under 2 cents.
Just under 2 cents,
man.
So you're balling.
You want to know why I still have a job right now when I was supposed to be able to retire early?
Fair enough. Fair.
Yeah. So the moral of the story: don't believe none of these motherfuckers, man. It's like put your money into some kind of ETF or some shit or some kind of fund that tracks the market and play the broad market, and that's going to be your safest bet. And if not,
fair enough.
Put it in the trap. Invest in the trap.
Invest in the trap.
It will always win.
That's cute.
This is not financial advice, and we are not financial advisors.
No, we are
not a financial advisor.
No. But,
thank you, Jenny Beth. Thank you, Jenny Beth.
Yeah, we are going to keep this train rolling. We're going to roll right into attorney Mr. Dale Schafer. He's the founder of Armada Law Practice, and at one point in time, did some time for a cannabis crime. He's here to show you how to defy gravity by pissing up a rope and flying high. That's right, is none other than attorney at law, Mr. Dale Schafer.
Good morning, everybody. We're at it again. My story today is out of Law 360, comes out of Tennessee. And let me just read the headline to you because it was comical. Tennessee High Court says pot smell a factor in probable cause. We've talked about this before where when hemp was legalized, all these dogs that were trained to hit on cannabis, and particularly the terpenes out of it, had to be retired. Well, Tennessee brought a dog into a traffic stop, and the dog hit on the car, and the two occupants of the car were denying that the bag that they found weed in was there, so they were acting kind of suspiciously. When the dog hit on it, they did a search, found the weed, and they arrested the guy who was, the most suspicious of them, and they started a criminal case against him. Well, the criminal court granted a motion to exclude the evidence because the dog hit on it, and the dog's trained to smell what? Something that's legal. If it's legal and they smell it, it's not probable cause. And so the trial court threw the case out. Well, the state wasn't satisfied with that, went to the appellate court, and their court of criminal appeals reversed it and said under the totality of the circumstances, dog hitting was just one factor in giving the cops probable cause, suspicious activity. Oh, and also when the cop stuck his head in the car, he smelled an odor. Now, the odor turned out to be a pine, disinfectant, whatever you put on your rear view mirror.
Simple Green?
Yeah, I don't know what it was. It certainly wasn't weed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm reading this thing. Oh, they smelled an odor. What? An odor of pine in the car? Okay, that's not weed. Dog hit on it. Okay, dog's trained to smell marijuana. Well, if it's hemp, it still smells like marijuana. But the appellate court overturned it, and it was appealed to the state Supreme Court, and that's what they just announced. I think they published it on the 27th, that they find under the totality of the circumstances, the dog hitting on the car was enough to give the officers probable cause to search. Now, this is mind-boggling to me, but it's from Tennessee, so I'm not sure what to expect out of Tennessee. I don't want to disparage anybody there, but they're fucking dumb as a box of rocks to think that this is okay. And I would encourage this defendant who's looking at whatever onerous time they're going to give him in Tennessee for weed to take this to the U.S. Supreme Court, because I think that there are several people on the court that are looking for a way to poke holes in the way cannabis has been treated, especially this idea that you can bring in dogs to make probable cause when the smell of marijuana is no longer an illegal thing to hit on. It used to be that anytime a cop or a dog smelled marijuana was automatically probable cause to search. Here in California, that got thrown in the trash a long time ago. And the reasoning behind it is sound. So I'm hoping that somebody takes this Tennessee decision, excuse me, and takes it up to the U.S. Supreme Court, because dogs that are trained to hit on multiple drugs, I'm suspicious of anyway. Okay, how do you train a dog to hit on heroin and fentanyl and weed and meth and coke? I mean, come on. You can get these dogs to give them a magic sign, they'll hit on damn near anything. I don't particularly like dogs in this situation unless they're going to chase somebody down that's trying to get away and grab them by their pant legs. Now, this is an aberration in the states. Most states have not allowed these dogs to be part of probable cause, but Tennessee, for whatever reason, and I got my suspicions, having relationships with your relatives is not a good thing to read a good social order in the state. But I'm going to throw this back at you guys. What do you think about this? And I'm going to get some hate mail now from Tennessee, but you know what? I don't give a fuck. This is a bad decision.
It'll be poorly spelled. It'll be poorly spelled, so you'll have fun sounding it out. It'll be all right.
Oh, man. Low jabs.
So, what's going to take? I mean, so many different states, like their Supreme Courts are deciding that this is unconstitutional, like just searching based on smell. So, when's it going to give?
Mm-hmm. I mean,
what's going to take the U.S. Supreme Court, Rachelle?
Yep.
That's why I'm encouraging these people to take this really stupid decision and take it up, because this was a 5-0. It was unanimous. Everyone said, "Oh yeah, the dog's going to give you probable cause." No, it's not. The dog's sniffing its ass and going right to your car and saying, "Oh, we smell weed." No, Stop it.
Especially not the Tennessee weed. I mean, I think that like we're looking at the South, and once again, the South is doing what the South does, going back in time. And until we don't have that whole generation of the South's going to rise again, good old boys redneck system, we're going to continue to see ignorant rulings like this coming out of those 13 states, unfortunately.
13 states.
I'm counting all of them. I'm counting some other ones. I'm just going to leave names out of this. But, you know, the entirety of the South is ass backwards. Georgia, my home state, not doing anything positive. You just let Kim Rogers come in and sell you a bunch of essentially THCA capsules. So tell me again how we're doing something positive.
THCA is positive.
Tennessee was a big mover. They were a big mover earlier in the THCA movement. They were hard and heavy. So shout out to the volunteers.
It's just amazing to me, though, how they can make a decision like this and buy the THCA is not weed. Like, come on. Get your head out of your ass and look around and talk to a chemist, somebody who's experienced in this. All you have to do is heat it up, and it's what you smoke in your pipe.
Yeah, until you burn it, it's not what they're looking for, technically. Just saying.
They don't know what they're looking for because they're ignorant and they're just thinking that the dogs are going to find it. I mean, I only want to see dogs being used in police work to find missing kids and people and to, you know,
like
stop people who are actually going to harm someone. Yeah, like cadaver dogs, like the Malinois that will bite your ass. Like,
what about like the
Beagle
Beagle Brigade? You know what I mean? That are agricultural dogs.
That's cute. They're finding like the morel mushrooms. Fine with that. I love Australia. You know, I love dogs. They're better than people, but like we need to stop the police dog work. It's crazy.
Fair enough. Fair enough. We're going to go into our next commercial and we're going to be right back.
The Network Show is coming back to LA September 18th and 19th. Make sure to get your tickets now for the only B2B licensed flower trade show in LA. With its previous shows selling out, you'll want to act fast so you don't miss out on over 150 of the best brands and distributors throughout California. The Network Show captures and ensures an intimate, focused environment for California's most influential brands and retailers to join forces in the true spirit of the legacy operator. So head over to www.networkshow.co/ticketing to reserve your spot and start cultivating connections at this year's Network Show.
Stop whatever you're doing. Make sure that you hit that like button. I know we'll appreciate it, you'll appreciate it, and YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already, and all of the articles that we cover on today's show you can read just a little bit later on our website at www.highlinenews.com.
I just ordered the summertime strawberry salad when added steak on top here at Anna's. Make sure you do the same thing too next time you're in downtown Long Beach. Come on down and check out Anna's joint on the 400 block of Pine Street. They have amazing selection of beers, foods, and when you come down here to Anna's, you can even challenge me to a game of shuffleboard if you want to lose. That. So, next time you're in downtown Long Beach on Pine Avenue, make sure you stop by Anna's Joint on the 400 block. Not only do they have Anna's Joint, this restaurant and bar, but they also have the amazing deli next door, and then next door to that they have a very exotic flower shop. You may want to stop by and say hi.
Yeah, we are back. And when our next correspondent ain't in the kitchen cooking up the latest Lego heat in the kitchen again, you can catch up on real life journalism as a cannabis and psychedelics reporter and editor over at Green State. Laying the first brick down for the second half of the show today is none other than Rachelle Gordon.
Hey. Thank you. I always love your intros, Rico. I never know what's going to happen, and I always love it. So, thank you for that.
I do it for the people. You know what I'm saying?
For the people, all the people.
The culture.
Culture.
Awesome. So my story was written by myself for Green State this morning. And it's going back to the topic, probably one of the favorite topics of discussion in this panel, on guns and cannabis consumers. So judges keep calling this policy unconstitutional. Why does it still stand? Let's find out. Weed legalization may be spreading across the nation, but it comes with limits. One of the most talked about is the ongoing federal ban on ownership of guns by cannabis consumers. Potential gun buyers must affirm they are not an, quote, unlawful user of or addicted to marijuana, unquote, on purchase applications. Despite cannabis being legal in the majority of states, the fact that it remains a Schedule I substance means that any weed user who possesses a firearm is breaking federal law. However, that policy could soon be upended after yet another appeals court deemed it unconstitutional. As first reported by Marijuana Moment, an appeals court panel in Texas ruled in favor of a woman who had been charged with federal crimes. Hoyle Connolly, whom the court referred to as a nonviolent marijuana-smoking gun owner, became the subject of an investigation after officers responded to a domestic dispute, finding her in possession of a pistol as her husband brandished a shotgun. In their ruling, the appeals court panel said that restrictions on an intoxicated person carrying a firearm is one thing, but they should not extend beyond that. Quote, the short of it is that our history and tradition may support some limits on a presently intoxicated person's right to carry a weapon, the opinion read, but they do not support disarming a sober person based solely on past substance usage. The panel compared cannabis to alcohol, saying the government does not restrict drinkers from possessing guns. They also pushed back on the idea that marijuana users are more dangerous than non-users, a claim the feds have used to justify their ban. The Justice Department has also argued that cannabis causes mental illness and that pot smokers are less likely to store their firearms safely. The ruling is in line with the 2023 appeals court decision. The three-judge panel threw out the conviction of a man sentenced to 4 years in prison for possessing a half gram of cannabis and 2 guns. They declared that a policy of disarming an individual for getting high or drunk at some point in their lives is not in line with the Second Amendment. Quote, throughout American history, laws have regulated the combination of guns and intoxicating substances, but at no point in the 18th or 19th century did the government disarm individuals who used drugs or alcohol at one time from possessing guns at another, the ruling read. As judges continue to rule the federal ban on firearm ownership for cannabis consumers unconstitutional, it's possible the policy could soon see a radical change. And if cannabis were to become Schedule III or decriminalized entirely, many wonder if people currently convicted of nonviolent crimes relating to weed and gun possession could see their cases reversed, or at the very least, millions of Americans who consume cannabis may have their right to bear arms reinstated. Jason, I'm sure you have a lot to say about this. The whole Hunter Biden case, being on crack cocaine, even Republicans agreed that that was not fair. What do you have to say about this?
I mean, I want to see this go to the Supreme Court. I mean, we had a victory here in California in regards with law enforcement having to prove what actually addicted to marijuana is and how much that actually constitutes as far as consuming on a regular basis. And they basically just said, if you even smoke once, then that constitutes that. And everyone knows that that's just totally ridiculous. Even people that don't smoke can understand that. So I think the way to go is through the courts. And yes, there's major hypocrisy, but we are seeing a couple of different pockets of democracy that are pushing back on this. And so time will tell, but it's got to go through the courts. That's the only way I see anything happening, any movement on this, because the old guard is not going to shift their mindset on this.
The court has announced that it's going to go clear back to 1791 and take a look at how guns were restricted over the history. And there is no historical precedence for taking guns away for people who have used any substance. Okay, if you were shit-faced drunk, it may take your gun away, but give it back to you as soon as you sobered up. So I'd really like to get this in front of the Supreme Court. As much as people like to complain the Supreme Court's become too conservative, this is one of those areas where I think that this court will go back and read the Constitution and apply reasonable language and history to our current gun laws, and see if we can undo some of this nonsense that's been imposed upon us over the last, say, 50 years. That's when this all started.
Yep. I'm with you on that, and that is very, very interesting point you point out there, Dale. That throughout all of American history, that there has never been a substance of consumption that they have banned the use of firearms for. That is,
no. And this is in the last, say, 30 years or so. Well, actually, I think when the Black Panthers showed up with guns, and white folks' sphincters tightened up quite a bit, we started to see a lot of movement towards, restricting gun rights for people. The felon thing came in, and then when the Controlled Substances Act was passed, that's another reason they thought of to restrict people from having gun rights. And it's just, there's no history of this in our country. As much as people don't want the Second Amendment to be expanded, it exists. If you don't like it, then there's a way to fix it. You go and amend the Constitution. Okay, if you don't like the Second Amendment, it's pretty straightforward. It says you can't make any laws, so we've got a whole shitload of them. Let's start dismantling some of this legacy of restrictions on people being able to arm themselves, and for felonies too. I mean, this all came about to target the radicals and the blacks in the 1960s, and it's just been taken on steroids now. And Hunter Biden, who's the son of a rich white dude, challenged some of the thinking here and made people really question, is this something we should be doing? I mean, if you're actively addicted to a substance, there should be a definition of what that means, because they can't really agree to it. And addicted to weed, I mean, come on. Teenagers are addicted to spanking their monkey. It doesn't mean you should take their guns away.
Man, yeah. I mean, technically.
So, I'm choosing my words carefully here, so I
tread lightly.
So I don't attack a certain faction of political leanings. What do you guys think it'll take for an actual amendment to be made to the Constitution these days?
I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think they can do it. I mean, because Republicans don't want it. Democrats are the only ones that want it.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, it's designed to be difficult to do. I mean, our Constitution requires that you take into consideration the smaller states and give them equal weight to the larger states in the Senate. And if you go out to the states, each one of them gets a vote. And there's a whole lot of states in the interior of this country that are going, we kind of like our guns. We don't want you taking them away. And we're okay with this right now. So I would say it's difficult, if not impossible. But hey, if you don't like the Second Amendment, there is a way constitutionally to fix it. It's an uphill climb.
Dale, I agree with that, with that logic all the way, except for one state, and that's Rhode Island, because they only have one member of Congress and 2 senators.
Well, they've been a pain in the ass since the Constitutional Convention. You have to take them with a large grain of salt.
Shout out to Pawtucket.
Man, shout out to the Second Amendment.
Well, I can tell you, they took away my guns, okay? And
they shouldn't have.
Irritated the shit out of me. And I can't get them back. My kids all have them, so if something crazy happened, they'd come and help take care of me. But, I can shoot pretty good. I had a concealed weapons permit. And then when they busted me for smoking weed, they were all taken away. And it irritates the shit out of me, because there's crazy people out there. And some of them don't like me. I mean, I've been able to speak my piece. Okay?
When did they start doing that?
Ruby red ass if you don't like what I have to say. And my family and myself have been threatened with death on cases I've handled. Okay? And that's why I carried a gun.
Dale,
those crazy sons of bitches are still out there.
When did they start taking guns away from people who have been to prison or federal felons, I should say?
Well, it was the Gun Act of 1968, I believe, 68. the federal gun law came into place, and that was, it's hard to separate that from the Black Panthers showing up to give away food strapped with military-style weapons. That scared the shit out of people here in California. Ronald Reagan was the governor, and he shit Twinkies over that, and they started right away to tighten those laws up. And you can go back and trace it. It was definitely racially motivated, what they did. And so was the Controlled Substances Act. They made heroin illegal to go after blacks, and marijuana illegal to go after the war protesters. And you can trace it back, and it's right there. It's in front of you if you want to look at it and see. So do not have a good legacy to them. They need to go away.
So Ronald Reagan was all about deregulating everything tied to capitalism, but taking away the rights to our guns and drugs.
I'm not.
Well, and he also emptied out all the insane asylums, and they're the ones sleeping on the goddamn streets now.
That is one criticism that I think is fair for Ronald Reagan is that I think that was a big mistake on their part on doing that, and it's one of the things. It was the main catalyst that really has led to the homeless epidemic that we see throughout our country now, even though it's magnified by 1,000%. But
so you think that's what Donald Trump is talking about when he's saying that they're letting out everybody in the insane asylums? He just doesn't want America to
that's not what he's talking about. We're going to go to our next commercial, and we're going to be right back.
I'm Jason Beck, and this is Smoky Vanilla. And if you want to feel as good as I look, then you need to get a stretch and smoke with Smoky Vanilla.
Hi, I'm Smoky Vanilla. I have my bachelor's degree in kinesiology, and I'm a sports massage therapist and stretch coach. I focus mostly on individuals that are in sport with chronic pain or injury. I love to intuitively create and customize a session based on the individual that I'm working with. We'll go over a few postural assessments, work together to create a wellness journey based on health history, past injuries, or anything still affecting you today. And we'll get you back on your feet right away with less pain.
We're about to stretch, and then we're gonna smoke, because we're gonna get on our stretch and smoke. If you want to feel as good as I look, then you need to come on down and get a stretch and smoke with none other than Smoky Vanilla.
Up next, it is the conservatively melanated and very opinionated pro-cannabis voice. The mouth from the South is coming to the stage, and you know what? She is the mind behind Kind Consulting. She's the juice that drives Justice Serve 501c3. And today she's gonna break us off with what do you call it, Jason? That little Southern twang in this thing.
Twang with a little thing.
Y'all know who it is. Jenny Beth Dillls.
Okay. I'm conservatively aligned, but I am moderately melanated. Thank you very much, Rico.
Cute.
I know, you're conservatively eating a lightly dusted almond over the break, so leave me alone. All right, so back to New York, the shit show that keeps on giving. Jason, I'm sure you'll love this one because a lawsuit was filed in New York this week on behalf of 3 licensed hemp retailers, accusing the state cannabis officials of violating their constitutional rights through aggressive enforcement tactics. The retailers claim that the Office of Cannabis Management, OCM, conducted military-style raids to crack down on illegal cannabis sales despite the businesses legally selling these products for 6 years. The lawsuits filed in New York Supreme Court highlights incidents involving Smoke and Save in Saratoga Springs, 2 strains in Queensbury, and Breckenridge in Manhattan. The retailers allege they were treated as unlicensed cannabis sellers, with raids involving heavily armed police who searched personal belongings, broke into locked cabinets, and turned off surveillance cameras without showing identification. The new regulations, which were adopted in December without public input, ban certain intoxicating hemp products. The lawsuit argues that these raids, conducted under the guise of administrative inspections, were unconstitutional as they lacked notice, probable cause, or a warrant. Additionally, the lawsuit includes the New York Sheriff's Office as defendant. This legal action follows a similar lawsuit filed earlier in Manhattan challenging the state's enforcement practices and lack of transparency regarding the raids. So we go to the first story of the day, right? We're talking about how fast they're moving through this process and how they're padlocking chipper tax and things like that. And at the end of the day, they're violating people's rights. There is a process to this. If you want to enforce something, there is a process. You go to the court, you get a warrant, do it the right way. They did not do it the right way, and I'm really excited to see this happen. And I'm pretty sure Dale Schafer is going to use the word them getting spanked in his comments on this. So I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say.
Yeah, I'm in favor of going to a neutral judge and getting a warrant before you go stick your nose into somebody's business. So I think they should get sued. And they could have gotten an administrative warrant, which is a lot easier to get, but you don't get the right to go search every nook and cranny and stick a microscope up somebody's ass like you do with a criminal warrant. But still, they could go to court and, pony up probable cause, and I'm in favor of that. The unfortunate thing for the cops is that that's so damn slow, the trap market just keeps running to the next corner and staying one step ahead.
Whack-a-mole.
I understand their frustration. But there is a process, and people do have rights. And if you're selling what are otherwise known to be legal products, and you come in and just tear someone's place up without a warrant, I'd get a little upset too and sue them.
But even then, even if they did have a warrant, they would still have a right to sue because they basically seized legal product when they were trying to say that it was illegal. Dale.
Well,
I mean,
this is what happens.
There's a financial burden right there, and I think that they're totally liable for that.
Well, I would hope they are, and in most cases, I'd say they would be. But the way it typically gets handled is the criminal courts, they go in and twist your arm to get you to drop everything and settle it, and they drop charges, and it goes away that way. And I'd say no, keep your pedal to the metal. Force them to go into court and defend themselves and see if you get some rulings out of the courts that prevent this sort of thing from happening.
Man.
I guess, monkey spanking don't work when your opponent's all about that guerrilla warfare. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
Oh, boy.
Wow, Rico.
See what you did
You
there.
would be surprised what the cops do when you ain't looking. I mean, I've been part of some operations cops were involved in, 30 years ago or more. And I was shocked and amazed at some of the things that they were doing. And if no one finds out about it, and, you just end up, being convicted. And you'd hope it would come out. But a lot of these agencies work together behind the scenes, and they aren't afraid to go in and do a sneak and peek and go in and look around in your shop when you're not there. They've done it to me. Hell, they broke into my office so many times, I just stopped counting. And they left evidence behind that I would find to let me know they were breaking in my office.
Yeah.
Some of the shit they do is just crazy.
Do the old reach around.
Ooh. Whoa.
Well, we're talking about New York, the state where you can, almost get charged with murder because your girl accidentally stabbed herself 16 times in the back or whatever.
That part.
Like, those cops there doing whatever.
That's Josh Shapiro, Pennsylvania.
That is true. That is true. I stand corrected.
I mean, there's a lot of other crazy things that happen in New York that are equally as equally
what about
as
those
crazy.
5 gentlemen that Donald Trump put out an ad out in the New York Post?
I was referring more to like the shop owners that get killed by criminals and then their family has no recourse.
Yeah.
Well, any thoughts on this?
Didn't they have a touchy-feely governor for a while there? That gave him a lot of props around the women's world. Cuomo liked to impose himself on his workers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
I think he did have a little record of that. You have any thoughts on this, Rachelle, before I move to this next story?
Keep her moving.
Keep it moving. All right. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this, man. And shout out to Jenny Beth. She found this story. This is a good one. I hope you guys enjoy this because this comes from across a lot of waters. Because a man planned the perfect crime by planting cannabis in a estranged wife's car, and he knew it could cause to draw the death penalty, you guys. Feeling angry at his estranged wife and wanting to get her in trouble with the law, a man planted 11 packets of cannabis weighing over 500 grams in her car, despite knowing it could draw the death penalty. He revealed his plan to his ex-girlfriend, snitching on himself, saying he had been planning the perfect crime for the past few days and that he thought it would not link back to him. Tan Zhonglong, a 37-year-old Singaporean, was sentenced to 3 years and 10 months jail on Thursday, August 29th, for one count of possessing at least 216 grams of cannabis, the amount of the pure drugs eventually found in the 11 packets. Cannabis is a Class A controlled drug under the Misuse of Drugs Act, and a second charge of fabricating false evidence was taken into consideration, you guys. So, you want to hear about the case? Well, the court heard that Tan was an IT manager living with his parents. He got married to his then wife in 2021, but their relationship deteriorated over time. In October of 2022, his wife moved out of his parents' home where they had been staying together, basically shacking up. They were unable to get a divorce at the time, and because of how short the marriage was, Tan consulted lawyers and came away with the idea that they could get a divorce if one of them had, that's right, a criminal record. At the time of the drug planting offense, the couple was undergoing separation proceedings, and Tan was aggravated at the amount of debt and interest that had occurred over the course of his marriage, court documents stated. And he felt that his wife had not, in quotes, contributed much, and got angry with her. In September of 2023, he hired a private investigator to get evidence of her alleged adultery. And when this failed, he began entertaining thoughts of planting illegal drugs in her car so as to scare her and get her in trouble with the law. He understood that she would be wrongly arrested and charged if his plan succeeded. And Tan's plan on October 14th, 2023, he told his ex-girlfriend in a Telegram chat that he had been planning, in quotes, the perfect crime for the past few days and thought it would not be linked to him. He told her that his plan involved him going to the police station, and Tan added he would call the police and might have to give a statement. He also said he was, in quotes, not sure if his then wife would be in the news. He added he was scared that he did not have enough money for his plan and that he had spent quite a bit on this. Well, I'm sure, because weed is so expensive out there because you're going to get the death penalty. On October 16, 2023, Tan found a channel on Telegram that was selling drugs and obtained a menu for the prices. Shout out, free Pavel. And he saw that cannabis was the cheapest drug per gram, and the maximum weight was 100 grams. He felt that was too little and asked the seller for a brick of cannabis, which he intended to use to get his then wife in trouble. While he knew it would weigh more than the other options, he thought it would be compressed and easier to handle. The brick of cannabis cost $2,600, but in the U.S., that's $1,997. And as Tan did not have enough money, he got a friend to help transfer the payment to the seller before deleting the incriminating chat messages. Tan collected the cannabis from a dry riser at a housing block and returned home to weigh it. He found that it weighed about 510 grams from his online research, and he knew that his then wife would face the death penalty if she was convicted of trafficking more than 500 grams of cannabis. As he was very angry with her, he proceeded with his plan, again alluding to it on his Telegram conversation with his ex-girlfriend. He told her he was deleting everything in her phone to be safe and would log out of Telegram. Tan added that he would go to, in quotes, those normal police, but rather the Central Narcotics Bureau, the CNB, and Criminal Investigation Department, the CID. And then he gets to planting the drugs, because on about 5 a.m. on October 17th, 2023, the private investigator Tan hired told him that the car was parked at a car park in Northeast Singapore. Tan drove over, unlocked the car with a set of keys he had, and unwrapped the cannabis. He wore gloves as he placed the 11 packets into the middle compartment of the rear passenger seat and closed it. The brick could not be placed inside, and the armrest compartment owing to its size. He then closed and locked the car door. However, he was leaving the car park. His then wife appeared. She had received a notification from her car in a camera mobile application, which informed her that there was a parking impact to her car. When she cracked When she cracked the live footage, she saw Tan walking around the vehicle and decided to check. And when Tan saw her, he walked away. The woman called the police saying she thought Tan was following her and that he had tried to open the car before leaving upon noticing her. Tan texted his wife expressing his fears, and Tan drove to Bangkok Square Mall where he threw away the brick wrapper. He texted his ex-girlfriend about how he had seen his wife and expressed fear that he might have left his fingerprints behind, or that she might discover the cannabis because of its smell. Soon after, the police called him asking about his harassment. He lied to the police that he had been at the car park to change the battery for a GPS tracker he had placed on the car, as he suspected her of having an affair. He then told his ex-girlfriend via telegram that the police had called, and he admitted to her that he had placed 500 grams of weed in the car and that this could attract the death penalty. When his ex-girlfriend expressed shock, Tan said he was planning to report his wife to the CNB and the Immigration and Checkpoints Authority when she next visited Malaysia, you guys. However, he said he could not do this now, as his wife might accuse him of planting the cannabis. He asked his ex-girlfriend if he should, in quotes, faster report her first. His ex-girlfriend advised Tan to retrieve the cannabis, but Tan felt that would be tricky. He floated the idea of waiting a few days before calling the police, hoping his wife would not notice. He also proposed calling the CMB immediately to report that his wife had been doing drugs all along. Man, this guy. However, his ex-girlfriend advised him to retrieve the cannabis, and he ultimately agreed upon to do so. Then Tan drove back to the car park. Entering at about 8 a.m., he saw a policeman standing next to the car and made a U-turn and left. Unbeknownst to him, they had searched the car and found 11 packets of vegetable matter weighing 523.7 grams in total. Tan wanted to head back to retrieve the cannabis at around 2 p.m., and he thought his wife might be asleep, but instead was arrested at his own block, you guys. Tan's then wife also arrested, and a search of her room turned up nothing incriminating, and her mobile phone and car were seized, you guys. The 11 packets of vegetable matter were analyzed, and although it weighed over 500 grams, it was found to contain less than 216.17 grams of cannabis. Look at that. He got shorted. And the nefarious purpose, the prosecutor sought 4 years and 8 months in jail for Tan using a framework for the possession of cannabis by weight. And she said that Tan had a, in quotes, nefarious purpose for possessing the drugs, more so than if he had been a simple consumer. In a quote, his intention to frame the involved party for a serious offense carried high potential harm to an innocent person, said the prosecutor. She said Tan's plan was thought through and moderately sophisticated, involving research into how to acquire drugs, obtaining money to buy it, and the penalties for drug offenses, and how to report a person to the CMB. Tan also took steps to avoid detection by deleting chat messages on his phone and using gloves, you guys. The prosecutor accepted that Tan did not intend for the cannabis to be consumed or circulated, but said this does not mean his office should escape the detriment sentencing policy underlying archaeal-type drug offenses. The accused purchase of a significant quantity of drugs in itself enabled the local drug trade by lining the coffers of its suppliers and contributing to the impetus for drugs to be trafficked to Singapore, she said. For possessing a Class A controlled drug, Tan could have been jailed for up to 10 years and fined up to $20,000 or both, you guys. Man, oh man, this guy. Man, what a scumbag. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
Tan is a loser. I can't imagine why his wife didn't want to be married to him. He's living in his mom's house. She's now got to live in his mom's house. I don't know how many of you have had mother-in-laws, but Rachelle, it's going to be just fine. They're going to be great. But it's sometimes difficult when you're in close quarters. And I also think that, like, what an idiot. This guy got ripped off by a telegram trapper.
Yeah.
He got arrested
shorted.
for his own stupid shit. It sounds like his wife drives a Tesla because the car was like, hey, excuse me, something's wrong with me.
Mhm.
The car that he probably knew that about. Like, so how this wasn't like some nefarious supervillain who's like this in his lab coming up with the best way to get divorced ever. Like, dude, you just suck. I don't know why she married you in the first place. And I hope that the former Mrs. Tan has much better luck in her future endeavors.
Crazy.
Hey, I've done enough divorce work in my career to know that it makes me nauseous how people used to be married will treat each other. This one's kind of unique, but I've seen some others where people just go out of their way because they're so angry, go out and do stupid shit to the other person. And they're not, I mean, who sends text messages about, here's my crime to my girlfriend? And then when she finds out what a piece of shit you are to your ex-wife, what is she going to think about their relationship? She's going to rat your ass out. They grab all your phones. He doesn't seem like he's the sharpest tool in the shed.
No.
And this kind of animus is it's why I don't do any family law anymore. I rid of my last case. I'm done. I ain't going to touch that shit no more.
Call this man Spray Tan.
Oh boy. Oh, jeez. Oh man.
We'll accept that, Rico.
This is wilding, man.
Yeah.
Number one, if JD Vance and the numerous people in high places have been taken down by Telegram haven't taught you already, Telegram does not have end-to-end encryption. So that's number one. You will get popped on that shit. It has several features. Like if you're into technology or whatever, look into that shit before y'all start trying to trap on Telegram and those other apps. Make sure they're set up properly, because you will get popped and that shit will be released. You will be embarrassed.
It's just so stupid. I don't have any respect for the Instagram trappers, the Telegram trappers. Like back in my day, we had to go like actually find customers and stuff. So like, I don't know. Listen, shop my menu. No thanks, officer. I'm good. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
COVID changed everything. COVID changed everything.
I think Craigslist was the first online platform I saw people trapping on.
Yeah, no, 100%. They did it on Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace.
Shout out to Casual
Snapchat. Missed Encounters.
Free Pavel. Free Pavel, bro. Free Pavel.
I saw you across the street in front of Starbucks. You were wearing a white shirt.
Go back to the good old days. Hit me on the page or put 911 after the number if you need it right now.
I used to make people text me how much they wanted to spend too. So then that way I already had their order ready.
Right. Tan deserves to be in jail, man. Not only was he sloppy with the whole setup and everything, he got scared. So you deserve to be locked up, man. You never go half in, half out on some shit like this. Either you in or you out. And if you're scared, go to church.
Yeah.
Well, Tan lives with his mommy, so he's not going to have her to protect him while he's in prison.
Hey, come on! Don't talk shit about people that live with their mom. Like times is tough. Times is tough these days, and I would say about like 60-70% of the next generation coming out of college, they have to live with their parents because they can't afford to do shit else.
That's cool and all. They're not going to go get married, move their wife in there, and then not quite have enough to buy the weed.
There's always enough to buy weed. Always.
Tan's a lame. Tan's a buster, but all right.
Apparently, there's always enough money to buy some weed. I mean,
no scrubs.
What about the vegetable matter?
Yeah, I thought that was cute. That was a cute definition right there. Vegetable matter.
Right.
I like that. I like that.
So call that.
Any final thoughts on this, Rachelle?
Yeah.
I think this guy's a psycho. For the record, just want to put that out there.
Fair. Very fair.
Why you say that, Rachelle?
He put a tracking device on his wife's car because he was paranoid that she was cheating and he planted drugs on her. Yeah, it sounds like a winner to me.
It sounds sane.
While he's texting his ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. We're talking about Singapore.
This whole case is wild.
We're talking about Singapore. It could be like, cultural differences. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to. No, this dude is a psycho. He's trash. Tan, they should bury your ass under the jail. Dude, do better, Mr.
And
this
guy, and he's snitching on himself to his new girlfriend. Like, stupid.
She won't say anything, right?
Exactly.
How old is Tan? Did they say how old he was? 37? Like, you got no excuses, bro.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah, come on. Enough. Yeah, exactly.
You know better. Do better, man. Hope that 3 years does you right and you actually get reformed. That's some doo-doo shit.
Yeah.
All right, so
well, at least he won't be living with his mom for 3 years.
He can come back and have his ex-girlfriend and his ex-wife living with his mama. How about that? How about that? Tan plan. I call that the tan plan.
They'll stab him in his sleep.
Yep.
Right. All right, y'all. Thank you all for joining us for yet another episode of High 9 News. You can catch us live weekdays, 9 a.m. Pacific, high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to the super fans showing love, getting their comments posted live on the big screen. We didn't have no today, man.
No. Nothing today.
Jason,
no wagyu.
I guess y'all gonna add a couple more additions to Jason's 8-pack.
I'm gonna be starving like Marvin.
He ain't eating.
Wondering like Stevie Wonder when I'm gonna get some food.
Just call it fasting, Jason. It's healthy.
It's all good. It's all good. But also big shout out to our live audience and online supporters catching us across all media platforms, tuning in each day to the Headlines of Chaos, also known as the developing cannabis industry. Our vetted correspondent team tuning in from all over, bringing us much needed variety of perspective and your respective opinions to the table. Our production team, Cloud Media Partners, and all the sponsors keeping the lights on, especially Catalyst, making sure we have a place to live and Jason has a place to spew his Republican nonsense. But
it's truth.
It's always
Republican truths.
As always, Cannabis Stephen L., the reason the High 9 News team shows up to read these stories every day. Thank you. It has been Thursday, August, what is today? The 29th, 2024. Show's over. Y'all been blessed with the top industry headlines. Hope it was enough for you to put in your pipe and smoke at least until tomorrow. My name is Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street for High at 9 News, America's #1 daily cannabis news show. And we're going to pop things back out to Jenny Beth. You ain't in the studio today. How about that?
I'm not.
Remote correspondent Jenny Beth, JB Dillls.
All right, you guys. I mean, just have a good day. Don't be an idiot. Just stop trying to race bait people. Stop trying to do all the political back and forth. I'm so ready for this election to be over. Just remember, like, at the end of the day, you may not like somebody's opinion. You may not like who they're voting for, but like, these are real people that we have real relationships with, and it'll be really shitty in the end of November if you now have alienated your friends and family because you have a really weird opinion about something. So just be nice. Try not to suck, and we'll see you tomorrow.